If you're getting leads every month from Google Ads and they're not closing into sales, you don't need more leads. You need to fix your lead quality issue so you can turn those leads into sales. So in this video, I'll be sharing 2 strategies that I use for all of my lead generation clients to improve their quality of leads almost overnight. So firstly, I'll be walking through step by step how you can set up and train the machine learning to optimize for qualified leads. And then second, I'll show you some simple changes on your landing page lead form that you can change to make sure that you're actually attracting qualified leads in your Google Ads account. And by the end of the video, you'll have actionable steps that you can take to make sure that your ads are actually driving qualified leads that close into revenue. And so before I get into the meat and potatoes of the video, I actually want to show you a real client example where I did these exact same 2 strategies and the improvements that a real client had from them in just about 30 days. They came to us the very end of June, and we started our first full month was July. And I just want to show you, we implemented these, I believe, June 20th, but as you can see, their ROAS was at a 312%, then it went to 627%. And the very next month, it went to 814%. And even more impressive is look at the sales qualified leads, 83 to 110 to 228. The cost per sales qualified lead significantly decreased, just over in 30 days. And so again, I show you that just so you can have confidence that what I'm about to show you will actually impact your results pretty quickly if implemented. Google Ads works on a conversion model, meaning it's very similar to ChatGPT. Whatever you feed the machine learning, they will get better at doing over time. You may notice when you build a specific campaign, Google will ask you what conversion events you are wanting to optimize for. And why that's important is because Google wants to optimize for and get good at getting people to essentially complete those events. And the reason why Google wants to get good at this is because they realize that you will stay paying them money, stay advertising on their platform as long as they can produce a result for you, something you're after. So knowing that Google actually wants to get good at doing whatever event you're optimizing for is key. Because if you're optimizing just for lead events, well, this is part of your issue. Google's getting very, very good at getting people to submit a lead form, but they're not looking at anything else because you're not saying anything else is important. However, on the back end and how you're measuring your ads is you're actually saying, I'm not getting qualified leads and I'm not getting revenue from the leads. And the reason why is because you're not sharing that info with Google. You're not telling them when they're getting a sales qualified lead. And more importantly, you're not telling them that that's most important to you. So I'm gonna dive in now and show you exactly how to do that. And this process is really known as offline conversion tracking, right? And this is the #1 thing I do for any lead generation business struggling with getting more qualified leads. And the concept of it is to essentially, when you get a lead, we all know that the conversion doesn't happen on the website. It happens after they speak to a salesperson. So understanding if they're a sales qualified lead is determined offline. It's not determined online. It's not something that you can track online. They're speaking to somebody off of the website and they're actually converting or giving you money when a contract is sent over typically. And that all happens offline. And so the offline conversion tracking essentially bridges the gap. It creates a feedback loop of events that happen offline, but that were first generated online from your Google Ads. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but that feedback loop is what feeds the machine learning to go and get better at repeating those most meaningful conversions for you, i.e. a sales qualified lead. Okay, so how do we set up offline conversion tracking? Very simple. I'm gonna show you one example. There's 3 different ways. It depends on what CRM you're using, but for this example, I'll just show you how to do it in HubSpot. And so I am in an ad account right now. And again, I just wanna show you, we are a lead generation company, but we're tracking qualified leads and we're tracking leads that lead to purchases. And we're also tracking lead form submissions. And as you can see, we have more lead forms than we have qualified leads, which makes sense because there's gonna be drop off. Then we have drop off from qualified lead to purchase. And so we don't even go to the conversion section in Google for this example. If you're using HubSpot, all you'll do is you go to your CRM, go over to marketing, go to ads, and then go to events. And very important to know, we're already integrated with Google Ads from HubSpot. So you'll want to make sure you handle that integration first, and then you can set up these events. And then all you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to create, and then you're going to create an event. This event is the event that you're going to optimize for, that you're telling Google is meaningful. I create the event, I'll select my Google Ads network, I'll select the correct ad account. And then after that, then here's what the process typically looks like. I'll just show you on the HubSpot support article so I don't go through this client's information, but all you're gonna do is you're gonna optimize for a specific life cycle stage. And so if your team is speaking to somebody and after they speak to them, they deem them a sales qualified lead, what you'll wanna select is under life cycle stages, you select sales qualified lead. And that essentially means that your team has marked that lead as a sales qualified lead. And that information gets passed back to Google from that initial click that happened on Google Ads. If somebody's a customer, you'll probably wanna use the deal amount. But for sales qualified lead, for example, there's not a specific deal amount, but you know that a sales qualified lead is worth X amount to you based on your AOV and your close rate, then you can assign a particular value to that event happening. And then all you'll do is you'll go down, select these predefined fields right here, and then make sure you tick email, phone number, address, and then all contacts that move to that lifecycle stage. And then make sure you set this to a primary action in Google. When you set it to a primary action in Google, that's actually when the machine learning looks at that conversion action and then eventually gets better and better at optimizing for it. And it's considered in the smart bidding process. So I always name it something like HubSpot qualified lead or something like that, or HubSpot customer. And then you'll just create an event. And then when you create the event, this is what it'll look like in Google Ads. Okay, so I'm in the back end of a client's conversion action summary in Google Ads. And as you can see, we are tracking customers. So people who've clicked our ads and actually become customers. And then I'm also tracking qualified leads. And as you can see, last month we had 177 qualified leads. We had 28 actual purchases, almost 29, that led to 102,000 worth of actual deal value. And guys, that setup takes about 5 minutes to do. It's very, very straightforward and simple. That is the easiest way to actually leverage machine learning and AI to optimize for the events that you're most after. Okay, and I know what you're thinking, maybe that seems way too technical to run through. I promise it's worth it. But if it does, another thing that you can do, and I recommend folding these things into each other, is simply manipulating the actual form submission. A lot of companies simply have first name, last name, phone number, email, and then they allow anybody to become a lead. And then when it's submitted, they track it as a conversion and tell Google they got a lead. And Google gets really good at finding people who become leads, but nothing ever more qualified. And so the way that we can actually allow Google to optimize for a more quality lead based off just our landing page lead form is to do two things really. It's to make sure that you're adding appropriate fields to your actual lead form that your sales team is gonna ask regardless to understand if they're qualified or not. So for example, this is a legal CRM company and they have the basic fields that anybody to become an actual lead would need. But at the very bottom, as you can see, they have 3 to 9 and 10 plus. So for example, let's just say if they were over 10, then that would qualify them to actually work with the sales team and become a customer. Here and here, they would not become a customer. So if somebody selected this 1 to 2 or 3 to 9, once they select get pricing after they fill out the rest of this data, they would go to a thank you page, but it'd be a very unique thank you page. And you would not count that as a conversion in Google Ads. So whenever you set up and configure your conversion tracking in Google Ads, you would not allow that URL to fire a conversion if somebody lands on that URL. However, if they selected 10 plus and then they submitted the form and they went to this page, like a thank you page, you would only track this URL as a conversion, as a lead. So you're only allowing Google to track leads when you know that the form submitted was from somebody who has a 10 plus person firm, meaning that they're qualified enough to work with you. And again, what that's gonna do is it's not gonna reinforce Google Ads that they're doing a good job if they're not actually getting 10 plus person firms in the door. And so over time, they will understand they have millions and millions of psychographic data points to understand what type of clicks will actually lead to a 10 plus person firm, which in turn will it will probably decrease the amount of leads you get, but the number of qualified leads you get over time is going to be way, way greater. And you're actually going to be able to close those leads instead of continuing to tell Google they're doing a good job by simply just getting you a form submission. And guys, these changes literally take about 15, 20 minutes tops to make all together, both of those strategies I just mentioned. So there's really no excuse. You can do this for 15 minutes with your team on Monday. It's very, very quick. And you should almost immediately see the impact of getting qualified leads after you implement these two things. So now that you guys know how to actually get qualified leads from Google Ads, it's time to take action. Number 1, set up your offline conversion tracking with your CRM. Number 2, make sure you manipulate your landing page lead form fields, and also only track the fields that when answered correctly, go to the proper destination URL that you're tracking as a lead form. And if you guys want to understand the key learnings I know now after managing over $80 million in ad spend, hit the link above. Otherwise, subscribe to stay up to date with more videos like this.